This week, in the second part of our two-part investigation into Balamb Garden, Part 2, we explore some of the deeper problems within the Academy. The failures of Balamb Garden do not simply end with food, facilities, or faculty, for beneath the surface-level crust of incompetence lies a frothing, flowing mantle of impropriety, the richest of which lie literally down below. So join me as we burrow deeply into a filthy hole of ineptitude. I'm Kyoto Whiskers, and I've got theories. Balamb Garden received its initial funding from this large angry blob monster. His name is Norg, and he now seems to live in the school's basement. But what is Norg exactly? Well, firstly, he is a Shumi, a species known for wisdom, serenity, and spiritual insight. Norg, however, possesses few, if any, of these traits. He is bloated, furious, and encased in some kind of enormous steampunk-looking pod thingy. He communicates primarily through tantrums, and he does not tolerate failure. Norg's official title is Garden Master, a bit like Dungeon Master in D&D, only he presides over people who still have hope in life. His responsibilities appear to be the financial running of the school, sitting in his pod, being angry, and yelling at people who enter his lair. His presence in a secret chamber beneath the school has not been explained nor justified upon its discovery. It is simply accepted, as though every school has a giant jelly man in the basement controlling the budget. Students are not told of his presence, and little seems to be known of his true involvement here. The staff seem to prefer it this way, for it is with Norg that the faculty's loyalties truly lie. Why? We cannot say, and frustratingly, they do not say either. Headmaster Sid and Norg have a working relationship best described as strained. Sid seems to avoid dealing with him directly, unless absolutely necessary. Perhaps understandable for a man of Sid's years, as Norg has the look and personality of a cancerous prostate. But this itself is a concern, as Norg clearly has considerable power and influence over the garden. It's unclear whether the garden is financially viable without him at this point. Balamb students are hired out for mercenary work, which would at least account for some of the garden's income, and there's nothing to suggest that Norg has been cooking the books, unless he's been eating them. And he does at least seem equally troubled as I do by the school's mismanagement, and by Sid's chronic ineffectual leadership. So much so that, regrettably, he stages a coup attempt. In league with the faculty, he attempts to seize power and kill any students who do not immediately ally themselves with him. Him, an irate 10-foot glob of lard, whom the students have never seen and few have ever even heard of. This is not behavior fitting a school trustee, and the students eventually respond by beating him up. This is also less than ideal behavior, but at least all that training against monsters came in handy for something. In short, Norg's actions are a failure of leadership, fiduciary responsibility, emotional self-regulation, and basic blob etiquette. He is a creature who, in my opinion, should not be in charge of anything. And I have also heard that he smells. But for all of Norg's shortcomings, it pales in comparison to the real bad seed planted in this garden. And that is the headmaster himself, Sid Kramer. Headmaster Sid is ultimately the man in charge of Balamb Garden. He is also, in my estimation, the school's biggest weakness. His career can be charted not through achievement, but through a series of increasingly bad decisions. From the founding of the garden to the moment he hands control of the entire institution to a brooding teen. 12 years before the events of Final Fantasy VIII, Sid Kramer helps establish Balamb Garden. This sounds impressive. It is not. He did not provide the funding, Norg did. He did not conceive the idea, his wife did. He didn't even understand its true purpose. In fact, other than seeking the funding, it's unclear what Sid's initial contributions actually were. He did find a building with a large swanky office on the top floor, albeit with no toilet facilities anywhere on site. And one might point out that the building has one valid selling point. It can fly. But Sid, of course, is unaware of this fact, and only learns of its true usefulness later, when the school comes under missile fire. And even then it's really school, one of his students, who gets everyone out of danger. This is not leadership. This is a man accidentally succeeding. When staffing the school, Sid agrees to hire, or at least work with, the faculty, the robed cultists, who appear to blindly worship his new, morbidly obese business partner. Does he vet them, train them, or supervise them in any meaningful way? Apparently not. He simply lets them run the place. And of course there's the Norg situation itself. He tells no one of the living clump of mayonnaise living downstairs, and when Norg becomes enraged and attempts his coup, Sid's response is to hide, and hope the children sort it out for him, then meekly apologize. The students do sort it out, and like idiots, they do accept his apology. They may also have killed Norg in the process. No one's seen him for a while, leaving the school's finances floating as aimlessly as the building itself. If we look closer at Sid's running of the school, the Dollet mission is a prime example of how inept Balamb Garden truly is. Described as a field exam, Sid sends his students, children remember, on a live combat mission to assist the Dollet dukedom by repelling invading Galbadian forces whom are attempting to seize the city's vital radio communication tower. This mission is dangerous, poorly planned, and badly briefed. It is also terribly executed. One squad that we followed had a particularly tough time of things. Led by a student named Sifa, who seems medically allergic to instruction, they ended up wandering away from their position, straying from its poorly explained objective, and being attacked by an elite-powered mechanical arachnid. To my surprise, the students do actually survive the skirmish, but what is perhaps more surprising is that apart from Sifa himself, all students from this squad were deemed to have passed the exam, which makes one wonder what the hell happened to the other squads dispatched to Dollet. Sid, of course, doesn't really care. He's an all's well that ends well sort of chap. Dollet's money was already where it needed to be, and this for me reveals Balamb Garden to be not an academy of excellence, but a factory of child endangerment. Sid's wife Adia turning sinister must have come as something of a blow. It is regrettable, but later reversible to a fashion. So leading the students to believe it is their destiny to kill her seems at best a conflict of interest. Seeking help and formulating a plan not involving shooting her in the head may have been a more rational course of action. Granted, Martine, headmaster of Galbadia Garden, may have been more directly responsible for the disastrous assassination attempt in Delling City, but many underlying issues might have been addressed much sooner had Sid simply spoken up. In response to this blunder, Sid's students are arrested, their squad leader is brutally tortured, and 2 missile attacks are launched against the garden and its allies. One almost hits Balamb Garden, whilst the other actually does hit Trabia Garden, leaving it decimated. And Trabia had nothing to do with any of this. This is not leadership. This is ineptitude on a scale that defies measurement, and it's getting the children killed. Near the height of the sorceress crisis, Sid hands control of the entire school, at this point a massive mobile military base, to Squall, a child, who has no management experience, no social skills to speak of, and has no interest in leading. He actually seems to strongly resent it. Sid's rationale appears to be, I don't want to do it. School looks the part, and the children usually fix things for me. He gives Squall total authority over the garden, its destination, its course, and the responsibility that comes with it. He is giving a battleship to a teenager. An effective and well-presented teenager, yes, but a teenager nonetheless. And it isn't the first time. Sid actually has a track record of gifting ships to children. The White Sea Ship being a prime example. A floating orphanage, essentially designed and built to safeguard one girl. And of course it doesn't take long for the garden, under this new leadership, to engage in a full-scale battle with another garden, which apparently can also fly. Can all these buildings fly? It's a shame nobody told Trabia about this. In the end, I'm unsure exactly what happened. Some girl fell into a coma and ate the spirit of the future sorceress or something, and Adia's possession came to an end, or a temporary end at least. She now hangs out with Sid of their old house, a bit like my grandparents used to do after theirs was condemned. And the garden itself? Well, I think it finally settled down and got married to a town called Fisherman's Horizon, and their children decided it was safer to continue their path on foot. There was still a future sorceress to kill, and, well, I got a bit lost after that. I know there was a spaceship involved, but we all know what Sid Kramer did. His actions, or lack thereof, have left a generation of youngsters scarred by battles they were too young to witness, let alone fight or win. Some have speculated that Sid may have actually masterminded all of this for his gain, and simply pretends to be weak and thick as shit. But I fear the truth is far more mundane. Too much is left to chance for Sid to be some kind of master manipulator. Sid Kramer is a man who spent 12 years running away from the truth, and it's his students who have been left to deal with the consequences. Balamb Garden presents itself as a beacon of discipline, excellence, and opportunity. But after examining the corpse of its operations, its leadership, its facilities, and general vibe of the place, a different picture emerges. A picture of catastrophic mismanagement. A picture of institutional negligence. It is a place where problems are ignored until those problems become a disaster. And those disasters are ignored too, until they become someone else's problems, usually a child's. And it is built upon secrets and lies, with the faint hope that no one will look under the soiled bed sheets. But now that we have looked closely, the bedwetting conclusion is unavoidable. Balamb Garden is a flying monument to everything that can go wrong when you give people to a cult, a budget to a blob, and a clipboard to a coward. Balamb Garden is not the school of dreams. It truly is the institution of nightmares. I'm Kyoto Whiskers, and that's my theory. What's yours? Goodbye.